How well do you remember 2020? If you're like most of us, you'll recall the panic and uncertainty as widespread COVID-19 shutdowns and supply chain disruptions left store shelves empty. For weeks, hardworking Americans waited in line to shop, desperate to purchase essential medicines that were nowhere to be found. Though unexpected, the effect the pandemic had on the pharmaceutical industry has many officials and industry experts calling for changes to the way medication is sourced, produced, and distributed to minimize our exposure to global threats such as transit trade delays, logistic disruptions, and the weaponization of medicine, in which a nation withholds critical pharmaceutical exports as a way of exerting pressure on its political foes. But is this kind of weaponization possible? And if so, how bad would things get? While 28% of active pharmaceutical ingredient manufacturing still takes place in the U.S., researchers estimate that the U.S. relies on China and India for 75% of its overall API supply. If this supply chain were to be disrupted, millions of Americans would be at risk as many medications, including antibiotics, over-the-counter pain relievers, and blood thinners, depend on APIs from these two countries. So ask yourself, what would you do if you no longer had access to the medicines you or a loved one needed to stay alive? And what if you found the medicines you were taking contained ingredients that may actually be harmful? Ensuring the quality, safety, and efficacy of our medications remains vital to our well-being. And yet, in 2019, the U.S.-China Economic and Security Review Commission identified a number of serious issues stemming from China's poor regulation and environmental oversight. On top of all this, pollution from antibiotics manufacturing in China and India has become one of the leading causes of antimicrobial drug resistance and multi-drug resistant infections. The facts are these: our reliance on the Eastern-sourced pharmaceuticals poses a serious national security risk. That is why we need to create incentives and enact legislation that encourages drug companies to move manufacturing back to the U.S. and Western countries where stricter regulations can be enforced. Advancements in new technologies must also play a part, as it will allow companies to lower production costs and increase efficiency while reducing their environmental footprint. And finally, we need to introduce more stringent policy measures to address drug shortages and maintain a list of ethically sourced global API producers to ensure quality control. Our dependence on China and India has made us dangerously vulnerable in even the best of circumstances. By deglobalizing the pharmaceutical supply chain, nearshoring operations, and implementing stricter legislation, we can ensure the quality, reliability, and availability of our medicines and ensure a safer, more diversified pharmaceutical future.